Hello, and thank you for tuning in today. You are currently watching the Skill Building Sunday Drawing Group with me, Jason Leeser, started on Sunday, September 4th at 1 p.m. If this is working for you, please let us know in the comments and in the chat area, and welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo community, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are encouraged to join in these live streams, real-world events, to share and inspire and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. We beam out nearly every day, and with your help have evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on-demand tattoo and art shows that have all been receiving rave reviews. You can find us on both the app stores, the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, as well as our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. You can always catch all of the replays of all of your favorite shows on the Roku channel, reinventingthetattoo.com/Roku. Or you can listen to all of our podcasts in the usual places such as Apple and Spotify. Artists, feel free to zoom in by clicking on the link in the events calendar. And if this is your first time zooming into Reinventing the Tattoo, you could win a limited run t-shirt. As always, you can always get the latest event schedule and all of your notifications so that you don't miss your favorite shows, as well as access to the Reinventing 24/7 channel, where we broadcast a whole bunch of live replays of all of these shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All of that and more at the official Reinventing the Tattoo website, www.reinventingthetattoo.com, which actually links out to everywhere. So it's a pretty handy URL to know. Once again, if this is working for you, please let us know in the comments. Let us know you can actually hear what I'm saying so that way I'm not sounding like a fool. And hey, tag a friend who loves tattoos. Maybe a coworker, maybe another tattoo enthusiast, maybe someone looking to get a tattoo, maybe someone that's interested in becoming a tattoo artist. Tag a friend, tag everyone you know. Go for it. Friends, family, everyone needs to watch. No, just joking. Try to keep it more tattoo focused. But we always have a number of weekly staple shows that we encourage you to tune into, starting on Sundays at 1 p.m. with me, Jason Leeser, for the Skill Building Sunday Drawing Group. And that's followed on Mondays at 9 a.m. with Drawing for Tattooers with James Wisdom, where we discuss basic drawing techniques and strategies. Following that, at 11 a.m. on Monday, we have the Tattoo Weekly, hosted by Lauren Gregory, Jake Meeks from the Fireside Tattoo Network, and Gabe Ripley from Tattoo Now. Following that, at 5 p.m. on Monday, we have Let's Talk About Feelings with Robbie Rapole, where we go through and discuss that lesser known and lesser brought up topic about how do we feel about certain things. Following that, at 9 p.m. on Mondays, we have a subscribers exclusive drawing group with Guy Aitchison himself. If you are a subscriber to the Reinventing Evolution or Reinventing Canon, you have access to these Monday evening drawing groups, and they're unbelievably helpful. I can't stress that enough. That alone is worth more than I could ever imagine. Highly recommend you tune into that if you have access to it. On Tuesdays at 10 a.m., we have another live drawing group with Ricardo Sertivant, a very good friend of mine, an extremely talented artist, where we go through and we talk about different things, philosophical and art-related. It's always a great time talking with Ricardo on Tuesdays. Wednesdays at 1 p.m., we have the Tattoo Now show, where we kind of do a little bit of a deep dive into the business aspect behind tattooing. So take a look at that. And that is followed on Thursdays at 6 p.m. with the Tattoo Collecting 101 podcast with Vaughn Baker, where we go through and talk about tattoo collecting and what it's like to be a collector and how do people form their collections and everything like that. We have a number of sponsors I would like to go through and thank very quickly. These are the people that help us make this show possible. And we're going to start off with Raw Pigments, an ink company that's tapping into the source, rawpigments.co. These are acrylic-free, vegan-friendly. They are absolutely phenomenal, ultra bright. They are light fast. You can't go wrong with Raw Pigments at rawpigments.co. Next, we have World Tattoo Events, the largest, most comprehensive tattoo event calendar worldwide. And they're constantly keeping everything up to date. As we all know, we are living in a post pandemic world where things are still constantly getting rescheduled and moved around. So please stay up to date with the latest and greatest of tattoo event information at worldtattooevents.com. DLize Pro, also known as Dermalize in the rest of the world. Protect your art. If you're still using plastic wrap to wrap your tattoos up, maybe it's time to step your game up. DLize Pro was designed by wound care specialists for the specific purpose of healing tattoos. Take a look at DLize Pro. TattooNow.com, technology for tattooers, the leading edge in SEO and professional development for tattooers of all levels, and they're now accepting new clients. So if you were wondering how you could really hit your target demographic and your target market, how you could really start attracting more of those clients that you really want to tattoo, take a look at Tattoo Now and reach out to them. These are the people that can make that happen. If you're having issues with scheduling or anything like that, once again, reach out to Tattoo Now. They've got a ton of great solutions to really help you streamline your tattoo studio and schedule and help you get more bang for your buck. And as always, this wouldn't be Reinventing the Tattoo without a very personal and professional thank you to Guy Aitchison for all that he has done for the tattoo world. Thank you, Guy. And you can reach him at guyaitchison.com. He is the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo. Go to guyaitchison.com where you can pick up a copy of his Biomech Encyclopedia, his DVDs. He's got some custom coil machines. He also has a number of original oil paintings and countless prints for sale as well. So thank you, Guy, and take a look at guyaitchison.com. Would like to go through and say a very quick thank you to two of our affiliates as well. The Apprenticeship Diaries with Amy Nichols for people that are just starting out and wondering how to get started on their journey to become a tattoo artist. And the Fireside Tattoo Network with Jake Meeks. If you are already a tattoo artist and you're looking for other avenues to gain more knowledge, take a look at the Fireside Tattoo Network. As always, we always ask that if you do enjoy this show, please leave a positive review, leave a comment on the channel or on the video, and help us get the word out. Tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell other people that are interested in tattoos about these shows. We're always welcoming new people on here with different perspectives and different ways of looking at things. So please feel free to join us as well. If you're looking to host a Reinventing the Tattoo event, or maybe you want to become a sponsor in our community, or maybe you're looking for a fine art or a tattoo critique, all of that and more is possible. All you have to do is email us at management@reinventingthetattoo.com. And welcome to today's show. Let's see, we've got Medusa already with us, and we've got Amber who just joined us. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hello.
Hey. Switch that back over to there. And I can exit this. Awesome. Well, I am back from the Great White North. Though I did enjoy my time in Canada, as I always do. It was definitely a relaxing trip, but didn't exactly have too much productivity going on while I was up there, and that's something that I always tend to kick myself for, because I like being productive.
Why don't you like to let yourself rest?
What's that?
It's what the rest of us do when we need to rejuvenate our energy.
Oh, you mean like at 3 o'clock in the morning when I pass out face down in the middle of a drawing?
Good grief. Yeah.
Like,
yeah, like that.
I mean, otherwise there's coffee, right?
There's coffee.
Don't ever let anyone ever tell you that there's not such a thing as magic beans. Truth.
Coffee. It's true. That's true. I I've been on a strict diet lately of coffee and Red Bulls to keep myself awake.
Hey,
Dude,
it's better than meth.
I mean, I am this close to just being all like, you know what, guys? It's
I
time to
mean,
step up my game. I need some meth. No, yeah, a
meth
couple
is never
people,
the answer, by the way. It is never the answer. Unless you have
yes,
to rearrange your apartment 6 times in the next 24 hours. Then
24
maybe it's an answer.
hours. You can do it 6 times in 12 minutes.
It may feel like 12 minutes, but it will probably be about 24 hours.
Yeah, so
From what I've told, I've never done meth, so I.
yeah, when I was in Arizona,
Amber, by the way, if you were trying to say something, you are on mute.
I don't
There
know
you
how
go.
I got remuted.
hey Amber,
Hello. How are you?
I'm
Finally,
good.
nice to get a face to the name. You know, you're always in
Yeah,
our YouTube comments, so it's always nice to see you.
I was in 2 weeks ago. I missed you. You weren't here. Ricardo was doing it.
Yes, yes, that is correct. I
I was about
was
to say I've
where
met
was I?
her. Mm-hmm.
Where was I
The
2 weeks?
infamous
Oh, two
Amber.
weeks ago I was mid tattoo
Yeah.
at 1 o'clock. I was I had a client hit me up. They were in from out of town. They'd flown in. They were going to be in town for like 72 hours. They were like, "Yo, get me in." I was like, "All right."
Okay, pull my leg. I'll have to get your money. Twist my arm, not pull
Oh
my leg.
darn, you're paying me top dollar to come in on my day off. Shucks.
Shucks.
Oh yeah, and there's the day off fee as well.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if anyone's pulling me in on my day off, there's extra money involved in that.
The only time I'm working on my day off is if I'm the one that screwed something up.
Don't get me wrong,
Like,
I have always been one of those people where I don't see, and this is maybe my issue, and I've been told it is multiple times, so that could be where things go wrong. Um, my issue is that I love tattooing.
my issue.
It is.
Right?
I get the same buzz from tattooing as I do from being tattooed.
I mean,
Yeah.
the last few times I've been tattooed, and I was actually tattooed the other day on my shin. Um, I
Well,
don't know
your
if I get a
chin.
buzz from it anymore. It hurts a lot now. Didn't used to so much back when I was a bit younger, but
Yeah.
I it stings. I'm not a fan of the feeling, but it's not bad because I enjoy the after effect, and that's what you have to go through to get
Yeah.
that look. So I get it.
Yeah.
But my big issue is that I love tattooing. I love it. I don't ever want to stop doing it. I hate the fact that I have to go home and that people stop coming in for me to tattoo.
I
I don't
mean,
like that.
I love tattooing too, but I am incredibly careful about burnout
Yeah.
and not overworking myself because I have notoriously in the past been all like, hell yeah, I'll take every walk in all day, every day. I'll end up doing like fucking 12 tattoos in one day and then not be able to function for the next 2 days. And I
Yeah.
realized that I just don't have that capacity, that stamina. As much as I would love to keep going, I'm putting a risk on the tattoos I'm making
Yep.
if I'm too tired, and I'm doing my clients a disservice by not being able to give them my best effort if I'm too tired and I'm not in my best position. So I've learned to start like valuing the days off because that is the reason why I can continue the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Because if I work on those days off, the rest of my on days, I'm going to start fading and it's going to be bad. But yeah, what I meant by I work on my days off if I screwed up is something like if, like, for example, I have a dentist appointment and need to reschedule something, I'll try to get them on my day off so that they don't have to wait for my books and availability again, you
Yeah.
know. 2 months from now.
So what you're essentially saying is that it's not good to fall asleep mid-tattoo?
No, it's
Not usually.
Oh.
Not usually. There's always a situation, and where the rules can be bent. I can't think of anything for that, but good luck, my dude.
Yeah, it's one thing if you fall asleep drawing, but if you fall asleep tattooing, that could be.
Yeah, it's like, we'll fix it with shading.
Halfway down his arm, but you'll fix it with shading.
When I first started tattooing,
It's abstract.
I was taught by a lot of old schoolers, you take every walk-in until there's nobody left in the shop. You don't go home until there's nobody left. And I'm just like, okay, cool. It's been 13 hours and I haven't eaten and I am so tired. And I remember trying so hard to keep that going, being all like, I got to respect the old ways. I got to take every single person until there's no more people. If I have to stay late, I have to stay late. And like, I remember after doing that every weekend, there was one particular weekend where a girl walked in for a tattoo and she took one look at me. And I guess I was so physically tired and worn out. And she was all like, can we just reschedule? You look really tired. It's like super late. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
And she was the one who had to like put a stop to me. And I'm so grateful because I probably would have messed up her tattoo because I was way too fucking tired. And also, like, at that point in time, I didn't realize that overworking is putting a risk on the quality of the tattoos. I just thought the old school way is to take every single person. That's how you earn your way and all of that. We got to make the shop money, got to take every single person. Now I'm realizing it's like, also old schoolers, like, fucking 30, 40 years ago, their tattoos weren't as elaborate and as detailed as everything now. They could take in everything.
Yeah,
that's
because
exactly the point I was going to bring up.
Yeah, so like the whole industry has changed. So it's not necessarily about the new generation being, they can't stay up, they can't hack it, blah, blah, blah. It's more of, well, I'm doing a lot more detailed tattoos and it's not as simple as picking a flash off the wall that I've done 30 times before, hammering it out and sending them on my way.
Yeah.
Like
sometimes, people are getting things that are so elaborate, they're multiple sittings. So it's not like they're going to come out of it with a fresh tattoo. They're going to come out of it with line work and shading, and then next time they might come out of it with color and detail. And
and
as do a full sleeve in 15 minutes, because they do that on Ink Masters.
I was about to say, but they do it on Ink Master.
That's because
they can do a full sleeve in 15 minutes. Why can't we?
I got a friend who got a gun off of eBay. He said he can do my whole sleeve for only $200.
Have fun.
And it's going to look like my granddaughter did it.
Yeah, but no, like I did start realizing though that having yourself in your best condition is going to make the tattoos your best tattoos. If you're tired, you're doing your clients a disservice. It doesn't matter if like you need to grind to make rent and get the shop paid, and then get the shop rent paid. That shop's not going to last long if all the tattoos going out the door are shitty because you have only slept 2 hours in the last 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, not just that, but it shouldn't ever fall on one individual to make studio rent, right?
No, it shouldn't.
You're there working as part of a team to keep that place open, right? And it doesn't matter if, Gabe's joining us.
Yay.
Oh no, did I say something wrong?
I don't know. We'll find out in just a second. Gabe, if you're there and you can hear us, what did Medusa say that was wrong?
They come in, logging on to lecture me, like, Medusa, we need to have a talk.
Well, actually...
Habitual line crosser, we need to tone this back. We've lost followers.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm sorry, Gabe. I'm sorry. I'm working on it.
I don't know if he's actually gonna like jump in and
Or if he's
participate,
just
or if he's
lurking.
yeah, he might just be lurking, which is fine.
I actually had to fix a scratcher piece yesterday.
Ooh, ooh, how
Oh,
bad was that? Oh, wait.
Thankfully, that they were so light-handed that when I shaved the fuzzies off of her neck to redo it, it shaved part of the tattoo off. That's how light he did it.
Whoa.
Yeah, pieces of the ink that he did like 3 weeks ago were coming off. And I'm like, well, at least he was really light-handed.
Yeah.
Because
We
it
got
would have been a.
I think Gabe is unmuted now. Gabe, if you can hear us, what did Medusa say?
what did Medusa say? I don't. It was connecting for me, so I heard like people say like wrong and bad and oh no, and I was like, I hope they're not talking about me or.
No, no.
Not at all.
Gabe, you are a saint.
Woof.
Well, I'm far from that, but no, I just figured I'd beam on in, see how everybody's doing.
Hey,
Doing pretty
Gabe.
well, man. Doing pretty well.
Awesome.
Jason, are you doing inspiring tours?
The one in April?
Yeah.
I'm looking into that now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to swing that and New Zealand in March, though, because I was invited out to a convention in New Zealand in March. So I may head out there for that.
New Zealand
But-
is hell yeah. That sounds inspiring to me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That
And it's
sounds
been
like
on
an
my bucket list.
inspiring tour.
Yeah. That's
So-
going to be a long flight.
I'll take some Benadryl. I'll be out like a light.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
love
cannot.
flying.
I can't sleep on flights. I went to Thailand and was on a plane for 26 hours in the plane and 28 hours altogether, like with the layover and everything. Did not fucking sleep once. I tried so hard. I took whatever drugs I could find to like try to knock myself out. Cannot sleep on planes.
I can't either. I get too excited.
There's
love
I
to
love
fly.
I love to fly, but I hate being stuck sitting in a position for so long.
Yeah.
My leggies need to be stretched.
See, that's never been an issue for me. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've been flying for so long. Like,
might be because of your height.
yeah, and I can stretch out. I can sleep in an overhead compartment. Okay, I'm that compact
Yeah.
of an individual, and I could probably stretch out in the overhead compartment. In fact, I've asked them if I could ride up there before, and they said no. So
You think
apparently
you could,
there's
and
some
the
like
ticket would be cheaper.
that's what I'm saying. Like, if I can fit, why not?
Seriously.
But yeah, apparently there's like some FAA regulation against that. So
There's always a regulation.
Yeah.
So I do have a story that involves flying to Australia and not New Zealand, but Australia and Sean Barber. So for some reason, I was going to a convention, and they booked me. I'm here in New England, so I was flying over, and the connection was from LA. And I wasn't late or anything, but I land in LA, and I'm going to, and everything's like closed up, like 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, I don't know what it was, but everything was like kind of closed up. And I tried to get through the gate, and they're like, that guy's like, "Where's your boarding pass?" And I was like, "Oh, well, they didn't give me a boarding pass out in Hartford because it's an international flight. They said they'd give it to me here." And the guy's like, "Well, everything's closed up here, but everything's closed up." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I know that, but I have a plane that flies out. I've got a ticket. Flies out in about an hour." And the guy's like, "Well, you need to have a boarding pass." And like, I don't know, somehow I was able to convince the guy. I talked my way through security, and I'm running to catch the fucking flight, and I show up just as they fucking close the door, and they're not going to open it back up.
oh,
And I'm like,
man.
"What the fuck, man? Like, you literally sold me a ticket that wasn't connectable." And so I'm in LA, and it's like, at this point, it's like midnight, and I'm like, "When's the next flight out?" And they're like, "Well, 8 tomorrow." And I'm like, "8 tomorrow? I gotta wait. Okay, I'll sleep in the airport. That's no problem." It's like, no, 8 at night tomorrow. I'm like, 8 at night tomorrow.
Oh,
They're like, "Yeah, they're all
Jesus.
Australian flights. They're all
This
overnight."
story just keeps getting worse.
And I'm like, but it does get way better though. So I'm like, okay, well now it's like midnight, or I don't know, it's getting late in fucking LA, and I'm like, who do I know in LA that might still be up? Oh, I wonder if Sean Barber's around. And
There you go.
so I shoot him a text, and he's like, "Actually, I'm just getting up. I'm going into the shop to go get some painting done." I'm like, "You're getting up at fucking 11 o'clock at midnight? Go get." "Okay, sure, man. Awesome. I'll meet you there." So
I missed that schedule.
took a cab over to Memoir and fucking met him at like, I don't know, 1 or 2 in the morning and fucking hung out all night. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
It was the best missed flight I ever had.
That is
That
super
sounds
cool.
like fun.
That's why, like, I think developing a good, strong network of like tattoo artists that you know in different places can be really, really beneficial.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, invaluable. I mean,
Absolutely.
well, yeah, actually, I'll tell one more story, and then I'll wield the floor. But when I was down at that convention, I remember there was a drunk critique, and I think Nico hopped on, and Tony Rommel was one of the co-hosts usually. And Tony was like, "Hey, Nico, you remember when we met Gabe in Australia, and he asked to stay in our hotel room?" And Nico was like, "Oh yeah." And he's like, well, "Gabe, I want to ask you, what were you doing in Australia without a hotel room?" And I'm like, "Well, wow, I don't know. That sounds kind of crazy, but I remember asking you guys to crash on your floor, but I don't remember what I was doing there without a hotel room. But evidently, I got all the way to Australia to a convention without bothering to get a hotel room. Anyways, that was
I
Hey,
mean, things
my
like that
Australian
happen.
stories.
every day is an adventure.
It is. But then you wouldn't, think about it like this. If you had gotten a hotel room first, you would never have that story to tell.
Oh, believe you me, I'm not telling the story.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I wouldn't know. Yes, it's yeah. I definitely have gotten plenty of adventures traveling by the, by the seat of your pants or whatever. On the other hand, it is definitely nice to have a hotel room when you're going to travel places.
I did
It's a
that the
little less
last
imposing.
time I went to New Orleans. I didn't have a hotel room till I got there.
And New
Yeah,
Orleans
see.
is a roll of the dice. That's a great place. I love that place. I
It
haven't been
is,
there in
but
forever.
I had to go. I was like, I'm going to New Orleans. I got cheap tickets. Let's go. We'll get a hotel room when we get there.
I slept in a flood house in New Orleans. Super scary.
I bet.
It was post
Yikes.
Katrina, and the only thing that had been even mildly fixed up was the French Quarter and Uptown. And I was visiting some friends, and their house had mostly been destroyed. So we just slept on the floorboards and spent the days trying to rebuild the house, and like essentially camped out in a house that was destroyed, even though we had like the deed of the house and everything. So
Damn.
Now
yeah,
that's an adventure.
yeah, no, apparently it took years for the rest of the city to be rebuilt
Yes. It does.
after Katrina. They fixed the French Quarter up and Uptown, and they're like, that's good, right? They're like Ninth Ward and
that's
Eighth Ward
close
are all
enough.
like, hey,
Yeah,
we still,
exist too. It's not just touristy places.
yeah.
Yeah. I was originally planning on moving to New Orleans and getting an apprenticeship down there. And then Katrina hit. My mother was like, you are not taking my granddaughter anywhere near that city. And I was
Yeah.
like, all right, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. What year was Katrina? That was like 2006.
No, that
I
was
think it
after
was-
that. Was it 6?
I
I
think
thought it was 5.
okay, because I know I was down there in 2008, and it was after Katrina, and like the 8th Ward and 9th Ward were
Just still
Still-
decimated.
just, there was nothing. You literally would just walk down the street and just, it was rubble. It was rubble, and occasionally a half standing corner store that's somehow still functioning, where you can get the most delicious po' boy on the planet,
Uh-huh.
and also a bottle of night train and a brick of cheddar cheese when you want to be poor and fancy. Wine and cheese, my dude.
Yes.
So fact checking, it was 2005 for Katrina.
Okay.
And then
Cool.
real quick, there is only one more ticket left for the New Hampshire show. But I am talking to a couple people about some of the other ones that might be coming up. So if people sign up to the mailing list or whatever, that's cool. But yeah, so Medusa, if you don't have anybody that's any friendlies you want to pass that opportunity to, I'm not gonna hit like a mailing list or nothing. I don't think because well, like I said, it's just one last ticket. So
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out. I've been texting a couple of other people about it too.
well, no pressure. Somebody will pick up and dig it. But yeah, but like I said, it is fun. It's a great spot, great opportunity. So
yeah, I'm really excited. I'm super excited to go.
yeah, those two are Baxter and Sean are both exceptionally gifted and or talented and or hardworking. I mean, it'll be 4 days of fun hard work, fun hard artwork. They it's good. Anyways, we'll catch up in the future. Everybody, thanks again.
Thanks,
Thanks
Gabe.
for
Thanks for
stopping in,
jumping
Gabe.
in.
Thanks, bye.
Yeah, that's something I would love to do. It's just the timing for those inspiring tours for me is just not ever like good, for
Because you're
lack of a
always
better
working.
term.
Yeah,
Well,
it doesn't help that it's during tax return season where we all need to be at our shops. Yeah, I was really iffy about it because 2 weeks before, I'm already taking some time off of work to go to an annual thing. And I'm all just like, I can't take that much time off during tax return season. But when I told my boss, I was like, it's painting with Nick Baxter and Sean Barber. She was just like, if you don't go, you'll regret it. And like, I will vicariously regret it too through you. Like, you have to go. You cannot not do that. I'm just like, okay, cool. It's during tax season. Bye.
Yeah.
You already said yes. Bye.
I'm always off 1 weekend a month anyway during the school year because we take our Girl Scout troop camping once a month.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, that is super fun. Fuck, I have not been camping. The only time I've been camping in the last over 5 years was a work trip last year where I was all like, I need a break from work. So I convinced my boss that we should all go to the beach for a weekend and close down the shop.
Nice.
It was shop bonding time.
Yeah, you
And
need to do that bonding time between employees. It makes a better family in your shop.
I mean, everybody always wants to say my shop is like a family, but it's, it's not. It's not. Everybody's got their problems. Everybody's got their drama. There's always that one person you don't agree with. For me, the person that is one of my best friend coworkers, like my work wife, is also the person that I get in fights with the most. And because we've worked together at 3 other jobs over the course of 9 years, we have a history. So one minor inconvenience between us turns into a big explosion. We got to work on that. But but it's always good to like go outside of the shop with your coworkers. Like take some time to not have to like make a rule where it's just like no shop talk. We're actually just going to enjoy our time.
Yeah, it's so hard not to talk about tattooing.
Yeah, it is really hard, but it's also one of those things where I think like whenever we do it, because we only do it like once a year or anything, it's the one time that we make the rule where it's no shop talk. And it's always our boss who's just like, so this and this email, blah, blah, blah. We need to do this and this for the shop. And everybody else is like, just being like, no, we're trying to get high and roast marshmallows.
Yes.
I don't want to think about emails.
My favorite is when I go to a get together or a party or something and everybody in the room finds out I'm the tattoo artist.
Yeah.
And then all night long, I just get bombarded by people who have tattoo ideas rather than me being able to enjoy the party.
Just take
Oh,
their
you're a tattoo
deposit
artist?
while they're wasted. And if they
Yeah.
remember to get it done, you got to do a tattoo. If they don't, well, they put down a deposit and wasted your time and paid for it.
Yeah. I'm always like, put down a deposit, we'll book you a time. But we'll talk about this later because, you know, I'm about to get my drink on or somebody's smoking over there and I'd like to join the circle.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who we don't hang out that much, but every time I do see them, they tell me, "Oh, I've been wanting to get a tattoo from you." And I just, even if they're my friends, I just hand them my card and like email the website and then I walk
Yep.
away. Be like,
Mhm.
I'd love to talk to you, but I'm going to circle back around to this conversation when you're not asking me about tattoo stuff.
Yeah.
Because I love to talk about tattoo stuff, but I only really want to talk about tattoo stuff with other tattooers,
Yeah.
not with drunk people who want to tell me all of their ideas.
Oh, but my buddy got a gun off of Amazon. Doesn't this look good?
I hate that. I hate that.
And it's like,
And I hate it, but I hate to say it, but that's how I started. That's how I started.
Everybody starts somewhere.
My ex bought me because I wanted to tattoo. I wanted to tattoo and I was afraid of it. And my ex bought me a kit.
Dude,
And then I got an apprenticeship with an old biker dude that did some of my ink when I was in high school that I hung around his shop all the time. And I begged him and begged him and begged him for an apprenticeship. That went really sour. But I learned a lot about what I don't want in my life.
well, I think you touched on a very important topic there, and it's something that throughout all of the Facebook groups on tattooing and apprentices and all this other stuff, and all of the tattoo talk groups that are out there, it's something that you constantly hear people bringing up, like, oh, self-taught artists, yada yada yada. I can't find an apprenticeship, at any of the studios that are around me. And it's something that I like. It's the best piece of advice I was ever given. And it paid off because I went through one apprenticeship and then had to go through a second one because the first one was all about money. And once they got their money, they were like, yeah, we don't need you. Bye.
Exactly.
So it's something that it was the best piece of advice I was ever given in my life. And it was, people aren't just going to hand it to you. They want to see how invested you are. If you're investing your time being the most precious thing out there, if you're investing your time to hang around the studio, help out with the trash, whatever, get your foot in the door, they will eventually, if you keep showing up, they will eventually put you to work. Maybe it's not going to be an apprenticeship right off the bat, but they will put you to work eventually. And then from there, your foot's already in the door. You've already established a personal connection with these artists, with the studio owner. That can very quickly lead to learning how to tattoo.
Yep,
but you have to invest in it.
Yeah. I don't use coil machines anymore, but I can take one apart and put one together and tune it really well.
I can build one from scratch. That's what I learned during my second apprenticeship. We took solid hunks of metal and turned them into tattoo machines. Oh, yeah. Knowing all the geometry, the differences in geometry, the materials, why certain things are the way that they are. Like, what about contact screw position, right? The old way was a 45-degree angle, right? But now you're starting to see a lot of contact screws that are straight up and down.
90-degree angle, yeah.
But why? Right? And we broke everything down. Everything. All of the science, all of the technical abilities, all of the skills. Why do they use a certain gauge wire when wrapping a coil? What happens if you use a bigger gauge or a smaller gauge? Like, we broke everything down and it demystified the whole process. And now anytime I see someone running a coil machine, I'm like listening to it and I'm like,
is that B flat?
Yeah, I'd probably tune that a little bit differently, but hey, if it works for you.
I had one coil machine that no matter how I tuned it, it sounded like a freight train. No
Yeah,
matter
I
how
mean,
I
there
could,
are
it
machines
worked
out there
well.
like that.
It was an amazing aligner, but it sounded like a freight train.
I used to know a guy for his liners. He used to take one of these guys. Let me pull one out. He used to take an old razor blade, right? And he would take the back portion of it off, this big silver like buffer end.
Yeah.
He would take that off. He would dull down the blade side, and he would use this as his rear spring.
Huh.
And let me tell
I
you
can,
something. That machine was the fastest, hardest hitting
I
liner
bet.
I have ever seen in my life. But you had to be careful because if the rear spring broke and parts went flying,
Yeah.
it was bad news bears, man.
Oh, yeah.
You got a shrapnel of razor blade in your eye.
Yeah. No.
You know, but I mean, they're very flexible. They've got a lot of, you know, tension. I don't know
They got
what
a lot of
their
spring to
actual
them.
thickness is, but he used to take a spring punch and he would spring punch it back, maybe cut some of it off. And yeah,
Mhm.
that was his rear spring.
The one thing I could say about Jake, my original mentor, is he knew, what's his name? Is it Mike? The guy who started Veritas Iron.
Okay.
He started here in Mays Landing. So
Yeah,
he's
there are a
very
lot of
well known.
great builders from New Jersey.
Yes.
A lot of them. Like Keith B. Keith
Mhm.
B's over in Jersey,
Yep.
and he makes some of the most badass coil machines in the world.
Yes. I love coil machines. I think they're beautiful. Their geometry is amazing. I have a lot of them I still use as decoration, but I can't say I'm loyal to the coil anymore.
Yeah, I've always been loyal to whatever's going to do the job the best.
Yes, exactly.
You know, it's like, but the whole reason, and this is something I was talking to an old school guy about, the whole reason why they used to run their machines so hard and so fast was for consistency, right?
Yes.
So, because you wanted that machine to run exactly the same and hit exactly the same every single time. That was the purpose behind it.
Yeah.
So I asked them, I said, if you had a machine that ran and hit exactly the same every single time, that's what you would look for, correct? And he's like, absolutely. That's why I run mine at, you know, whatever voltage and, you know, and I tune mine a very certain way so that it's always consistent. That way I can, you know, just focus on doing the tattoo and, you know, I know exactly how it's going to perform. And I said, well, then why not switch to rotaries?
Yeah. You know
And they were
exactly
like,
how it's
well,
going to perform every time.
I don't know about that, you know, because then you got like motor bot, and I'm like, no.
No, you don't.
They hit exactly the same every time. Why not? If you're going to do that and cause less trauma to the skin and cause less pain, why wouldn't you do something like that?
Yeah, my original mentor, Jake, he kept telling me that rotaries chew up the skin too much. And if you're not good with a rotary, if you don't know how to tattoo, you could hurt somebody. And so I was afraid of rotaries for a while. And then I found out he had never used one. So he was just going off of what somebody else told him.
Well, and I will say this, there is some truth to that, and it's backed up by documentation.
Yeah.
And that is, and I actually have the document as well. I can pull it up. Let me see if I have it in my archives. It was an article that was published by, oh God, some European research study. Where is, I believe it was, yada yada. Maybe it wasn't this one. Maybe it was the other one. But I do actually have an article that was written by some European foundation or study that actually goes through and explains why certain rotary machines, and if someone is not experienced with them,
Yeah.
can actually go through and be very damaging to the skin. There is absolutely no give. There's no give. There's no flexibility with them, right?
No, I
What you
agree.
get, you get. And, because of that, if someone doesn't know what they're doing, yeah, you can cause some serious issues.
Yes.
So I will say that there is some truth to that. And I'm still trying to find that individual article, by the way.
Oh, I agree. There is. I could tell when I first started using one that there was just definitely a learning curve. But I got that curve pretty quick. I was like, this is so much easier on my hands just by the less vibration.
Well, and then that brought up that is current. So that brings up an entirely different point, though, right? Because if you really look at it, what are the main issues and main things that tattoo artists encounter that really limit their ability in the long term? And what a lot of people end up saying is carpal tunnel. If you're using a coil machine, carpal tunnel is a big deal, right?
It is.
You're balancing an almost 1 pound machine constantly back. So you're constantly causing stress on your wrist and your hands.
Yeah. Trying to tattoo with a 1 pound vibrating brick isn't always fun.
No, I mean, I do think it's a challenge,
Yeah.
But absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I would rather tattoo with something that's going to be a lot more stable and a lot lighter and allow me to tattoo and do what I love for a lot longer than anything else.
I've found with a rotary machine, I can work a lot longer during the day without arm fatigue.
Oh, absolutely.
Because with a coil machine, I'd feel it up in my shoulder by the end of the day. Because you're moving your arm, not just necessarily your wrist. But so with the coil machine, my shoulder would kill me by the end of the day. With a rotary machine, I can tattoo for days without any fatigue.
Yeah. Now and this is once again an argument that I keep hearing people put forth over and over again on some of those tattoo groups and stuff like that. They're like, well, they're not as clean. You can't take them apart and clean them all the time. And it's like, number one, they're hermetically sealed.
Have membrane.
They're hermetically sealed.
Yeah.
If you're using a cartridge with a membrane, the chances of backflow into the machine are so small, so minuscule, that it's virtually, I'm not saying that there is not a possibility, but then again, when are you ever tattooing upside down?
I was about to say that. What are you doing tattooing upside down where there would be backflow?
Exactly.
You're not going to get any ink in your tattoo in the first place if you're tattooing upside down.
Precisely. They're like, well, with a coil machine, as long as you bag it, and you're using disposable tubes, you're fine. No, you're not. Those disposable tubes are hollow tubes.
Yeah, and everything backs up into it.
Exactly. You've got a perfect open pathway into the bag of the machine.
Yes.
How is that going to be cleaner than something that's hermetically sealed and completely covered?
Yes.
How?
Some people are just set in their ways.
They will find every excuse and every reason out there to invalidate an argument.
They will rationalize because they don't want to admit they're wrong.
Oh, of course, because that's the thing, right? They've been doing this for so long, they can't be wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when you've been doing it for, I've been tattooing for, 96 years. It's like, really? Well, guess what? Get with the program and use logic.
Tattooing has evolved.
Logic's their downfall.
If you're not going to evolve with your art form, you're not going to make it.
I went to go make some coffee and just came back. Are we talking about the old schoolers who refuse to progress and are like, let's take it back to the old school ways?
Yeah. Those that are loyal to the coil and don't want to go rotary.
Don't fucking use gloves then. Screw it.
Yeah.
Don't use a machine. Get a sharpened stick and bone char.
I was going to say, if they really want to just stick with a machine tattooing, go back to the Edison engraving pen. Oh, wait, but that's a rotary.
Yes, it is.
Darn. There goes your
Oh,
argument.
no. Oh,
The original
no.
tattoo pen was a rotary.
Mm.
It's
Just
still an
like how
ingenious
lighters were invented before matches,
design.
but they just weren't convenient enough and efficient enough at the time. Same with rotaries and coils.
I mean,
Rotaries came.
I still use flint and steel to make my fire for whenever I have to, make fire, so I can't really say much.
Oh, yeah? Well,
I'm
I just
loyal
rub a
to the
couple
flint
sticks.
and steel. I'm loyal to
just
the flint.
roll-
What you got?
just-
What you got?
I use Doritos.
2 twigs.
Doritos?
Just
They're
fucking rub
really
2 twigs
flammable.
together.
Doritos
They are.
really
That's true.
flammable.
Yeah.
That's true.
And they're really pretty when they burn.
When I was in a boot camp for troubled kids in Utah, I couldn't eat until I had made fire, and I was given a piece of rope and 2 sticks.
Yep.
And
I know how to do
you know
that.
what? I know how to do that. Never fucking want to do it again.
No.
I
is
know how to
so hard to
solder
do.
I know how to solder my own needles. Don't want to do that again
That's a
either.
lost
Yeah,
skill
no.
nowadays.
It is.
Yeah. I
I had to
learned
do
that.
too.
I learned that. I enjoyed the fact that I got to learn it, but I would never want to have to do that every morning before work.
No.
No.
That's
No,
a hard
but
pass for me.
I did learn it. I did do it. I have made mags and liners, and I never want to do it again.
No. It is the most tedious work ever. And I crochet. And I'm telling you, making needles is the most tedious work ever.
It's Ricardo and I were having a discussion about that, and we bring it up every now and then. Each of us have probably lost a solid 10 years off of our lives just from all the liquid flux that we would inhale.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And how you can
dude.
feel it singeing your nostrils
Uh-huh.
as you're like leaning over it to get that perfect drip, right? Over those
Uh-huh.
needle groupings in
And you're
the
just
jig,
inhaling
and
those
you're
fumes.
inhaling all of that toxic fume. You can feel it like right in here, right in the bridge of your nose. You can just feel
Burning
that
the
singeing.
lining out of your nose.
Absolutely.
On one of my coil machines, one of my first mentors had the liquid flux stuff on their hands and grabbed my machine, and now there's a permanent thumbprint
Yeah. And
on my
That's kinda
machine
cool.
from that. It is
people
kind of
do
cool.
not realize how corrosive that stuff is.
It's
And then they're having
so
to put
fucked
it on
up.
their hand. I wasn't even wearing gloves making needles.
Yeah.
Just got it
No,
all over our hands.
Yeah, no, you never wore gloves making needles. I mean, why would you, right?
Yeah,
Dude, the
it's
thing
not
that-
corrosive or anything.
No, it's only going to eat through your flesh in an hour.
Yeah.
the thing is, I'm still a fucking new baby tattooer. And yet,
You probably already know more than a lot of tattoo artists out there. So
Yeah, I'm a baby
don't cut yourself
tattooer
short
too,
on that,
so-
Medusa.
I'm
Don't
just
feel bad.
saying, well, the thing is, I got my first apprenticeship like 13 or 14 years ago. But I've only been tattooing for 2 years because it was a on-off roller coaster ride of a few failed apprenticeships. Everybody's got their starting story. Mine's messy. But
Yeah.
I am glad to say that I know how to build a coil and I know how to tune it. Never fucking want to do it again. I know how to make needles. Never fucking want to do it again.
Nope.
I am learning how to make an acetate stencil, and I'm going to be tattooing myself with an acetate stencil and a coil machine and
Have
all of
fun
that
with
with my
that.
boss. Yeah, I am already planning on just checking it off my list and never fucking doing that again. Leave the past in the past. I
You know, a
respect
few-
it. I will learn about it. I just don't want to do it.
I want to say about 7 to 8 years ago, there was a tattoo convention in Philadelphia on the battleship Olympia. right?
I was
Which is
there.
like, were you?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, the one where like there was no air conditioning, there was nothing like that.
No.
We were
I-
all
Ew.
crammed on the battleship. They had to bring in exhaust fans on the second day just to get all the body
Uh-huh.
odor out of there.
Oh my
Ugh.
God. It
Yeah.
was a scene, man.
Well, Troy, the guy that was running the show, actually set up an assembly line, old school tattoo experience, right? Where you would go through to get an original acetate stencil, which he had. And he's got quite the collection of tattoo history memorabilia, including original acetates, original sheets of hand painted flash by some major people.
Nice.
A lot of them are Philadelphia Eddies, but he's got some Cap Coleman and some other stuff as well. And what you would do is you went through and you signed up for this experience and you sat down. And I mean, yeah, they were following modern standard sanitary protocols, but they sat down. First guy slapped, you picked what you wanted. Next guy got the acetate ready, slapped that on you, sent you down to the next guy in the row. And the next guy in the row sat down with a liner, did all the outlines on you, wiped you down, sent you over to the next guy that did all the shading and coloring. That guy wiped you down, sent you over to the last guy that bandaged you up and sent you on your way.
Nice.
I was talking to Chris that runs the Indie Tattoo Expo and owns Ink Therapy. I was talking to him about doing like a contest during a tattoo convention where people have to get up on stage and like assemble their own coil machine on like time and have it be running in tune and have trophies for that, just to have like a. And I was telling him, because we were talking about all these new tattooers who have never touched a coil before but are really into the pen machines and all of that, and how it's not really necessary. It's not necessary anymore for people to learn how to use coils when pens are so popular now. And
Yeah.
a really fun way would be like, imagine this fucking 19-year-old that still hasn't even started their first apprenticeship going to a convention and seeing on stage a bunch of these people sweating, just trying to build a machine that works and is in tune as fast as they can, and then winning a big ass trophy. And then that
Yeah.
kid's all like, that's super cool. I didn't know that you could do that. I want to go learn about it. And who knows, they go down a rabbit hole of like YouTube videos. They start looking into tattoo history. They pick up Machine Gun Magazine, and pretty soon you got a new kid who never even thought that coils could be fun, rediscovering the history because they saw a cool contest that made it exciting again.
You know, you
That
want to know
sounds like
what
a
was an
great idea.
absolutely amazing part of history that I found on YouTube, believe it or not, now that you bring it up? I was this was back many, many years ago, so I don't know if the video is still online or still exists anywhere. If anyone out there can find it, let me know, please send me the link. There used to be a video of Paul Rogers winding a coil for a tattoo machine on
Oh,
YouTube.
cool.
And he's sitting there and you just see him with this hand crank winder, like holding, you don't even see the wire because it's so thin. You just see him sitting there, right? And he's holding this wire and it's like an over the shoulder view. And you just see him like spinning away with one hand while trying to guide it with his hand with the other, right? And just seeing how it's like bunching up in this area, and now he's trying to level it out in this area, and now he's trying to go back over the whole thing. And then finally he's done and the video stops, so you never really see like how he like wires it or wraps it.
Yeah.
But it was like fascinating just to watch this guy, this master tattoo artist that's been doing it and started doing it way back when, just to see him do this and like not even worrying about, is this wind even? No, 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 no. All right, let me unwind it and do it again. Okay, let me start again and, you know, slowly wind, slowly wind, slowly. Oh, nope, nope, nope. Let me unwind it and do it again. You know, watching him just go through nonchalantly, it's like he's not even caring where
whether or
it's
not it's all
going.
lined up or anything. As long as it's
Exactly.
all around it, that's all that really matters.
Exactly. Because that was the philosophy at the time,
I
right?
remember the first time I learned about, the electromagnets and the coils. I was like, oh, we made these in science class in 8th grade. I can make one of these.
And then you start to sit down and you start to try to do it and you're like, oh,
Wow, yeah, this isn't nearly as easy as I thought it was going to be.
yeah. I won't ever forget, I was winding my first pair of coils ever. And I completely forgot that, number one, all of the wire that's used is enamel coated. So
Yeah.
if you solder those together, you're not going to get a connection.
Nope.
Even with like that copper colored enamel that makes it look
Yeah.
like there's no enamel on it.
It's still there.
And I was
I
like, what
remember
is
that.
going on? Like, everything's wired. I know this should work. Why is this not working? Right. And I remember taking it to the guy that was teaching me about machines. And he's like, hey, dummy, what kind of wire are you using? And I was like, standard enamel coated copper wire. He's like, you do realize that the whole wire is enamel coated, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, why do they coat it? I'm like, insulation. He's like, right. So what happens if you try to solder together two things that are insulated? I was like, well, you're not going to get any electrical flow through it. He's like,
There you go.
so why did you expect this to work? Go back and do it again until you get it right, until you figure out what was going wrong here. Keep doing it. And he came over and he's like, I'll show you a little trick. He's like, give me your razor blade. Took my razor blade, because you always had a razor blade on your workstation for like spreading mags,
Yeah.
He took it and he's like, cool, watch this. And he started scraping away the ends to expose the bare copper. And I was like, dude.
Yeah, you just need a wire stripper.
Yeah, wire strippers work. I always used to use a razor blade just because that's what I do.
I had a wire stripper because my dad had 4 of them, and he was like, yeah, you can keep one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can use sandpaper if you need to. It's not recommended, but you can. And as long as you got that little bead of solder on there, you're set.
I just use my teeth.
I mean, teeth work.
Yeah.
Can't taste very good, but I mean, yeah, that would work. Kind of like dental floss, right?
Yeah, I have this gap in between my teeth that wouldn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it was like, it was mind blowing, like the actual science that went into it. I mean, back in the day, they weren't using enamel coated copper wire. They were using bare copper wire, right?
Yep.
So if any part of that was
Spicy.
exposed, done. Like you were getting shocked if you touched any part of that.
I've been shocked by a coil machine or two.
Oh yeah. Especially ones with blown capacitors. You got that nice big bright blue spark.
It reminds you you're alive.
Oh, it does. It really does. When you got a machine that's pulling close to an amp, trying to pull down this like razor blade rear spring, armature bar. Oh, it's a spicy morning.
I have never made that mistake before, but I can say that I think something similar to what you guys were describing would be taking a 9-volt battery, but instead of putting it on your tongue, not opening your mouth wide enough and hooking it on each part of your bottom and top braces.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is that what it feels like?
Yeah,
yeah,
I would
pretty
guess
much.
that's what, yeah.
Yeah, you actually see the lightning bolt go across your eyes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That sounds
Yeah,
fun.
it gives you that good wake up in the morning.
Yeah, that
Better
sounds
than
like
biting down on a mint in the dark.
who needs meth? Who needs meth when you can just shock yourself?
Seriously, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't need to do drugs to get high. You just shock yourself with enough voltage. You'll wake right up.
Yeah.
You want to
you
get
will.
tattooed today? Let me bust out my tool. It's called the
Hold on, gotta
shocker.
wake up. Where's my stun gun? Yeah.
Get my heart pumping.
Okay, I'm feeling alive now.
I think we've discovered the thing between coffee and meth that we've all been looking for.
Truth. Yes.
Just a little electric shock. That's all you need.
Just a smidge.
Maybe that's why they use it in asylums.
Oh, man. Imagine just having to go to the asylum every morning for your little wake up. You're like, Doc, I'm not feeling quite myself today. I'm here for the shocker.
There's a mental institution here in New Jersey called Ancora. And when we were little, my mom would tell us if we didn't behave, she was going to drop us off at Aunt Cora's. And we were like, who's Aunt Cora? She's like, you don't want to know who Aunt Cora is, but if you don't behave, I'm going to drop you off at Aunt Cora.
Damn, I love those. I love those terrifying threats that our parents use. My mom once told me that she would sell me as a slave if I didn't behave, and then pretended to be on the phone with somebody. Yeah. I spent years terrified that my mom wanted to get rid of me, all because of that story to just get me to behave once. Yeah. So
my mom used to tell us she'd leave us on the doorstep for the gypsies. Oof. So I had convinced my little brother he was adopted and that he came from the gypsies.
What's the point of having little siblings if you're not going to convince them that they're adopted? Right?
Because he was born on my birthday. So I think it was, revenge. I convinced him he had been adopted from the gypsies. And that's why mom used to say, I'll leave you on the doorstep for the gypsies. Because he was bad and she was going to give him back.
That's a good one. I'd be cool living with a traveling band of gypsies. As long as it's like how Cher sang. What's that Cher song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gypsies, tramps, and thieves.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Gypsies, tramps, and thieves. Yep. God, I love Cher.
Yes.
I want to tattoo Cher. If Cher let me tattoo her, career made.
We can't hear you. We got Matt Jackson who just joined us, but you haven't joined the audio portion. Oh yeah, you did. You logged in twice. Looks like.
Weird.
Double the fun.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know how that happened.
Well, don't worry. I will remove the one account.
Cool. Kick me out.
Gone.
How have you been, man?
I've been good, man. I've been good. How have you been?
Good. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has. You've been a busy little bee.
Yeah, I try to stay busy as possible.
Which is good. We always enjoy being busy.
Absolutely. I'm working on some paintings right now, prep some stuff.
Yeah, gotta love the paintings.
What are you working on?
So I'm gonna actually prep 3. I'm gonna try something I've not tried and work on 3 paintings at once, at least like rotate as they're drawing. I'm gonna I boxed for a long time, and I'm gonna do a portrait of my trainer that passed a few years ago. I've been thinking about it pretty heavy, but this is a reference I'm gonna use for it.
Oh, right on. Right on.
And then I'm gonna do a bio, and then I'm gonna do a Buddha one. I don't know if you'll be able to see my background's on blur, but I'm gonna try to jump around a little bit. We'll see how it works. I'll end up probably focusing just on one. But
are you working in oils?
Yeah, primarily. That's generally what I stick with. That's what I'm gonna stick with for these. I'm gonna jump into doing some charcoal stuff after I do these. So
that's what's up, man.
Yeah. What's everyone else going on?
At any given point in time, I've got 3 different oil paintings going that are all completely different.
Right.
Because you need to have different things to work on while you've got one glaze drying on one. So you switch over to another one. And you work on that one for a little while, and then you go back to another one. I've actually been considering starting an additional fourth one lately, just because I'm a glutton for punishment. But that's how the old masters used to do it. They used to have, anywhere from 8 to 10 paintings going at any given time.
Yeah, that's kind of what's inspired me to do it. Is because I noticed I fall out of painting, and it's usually because I'm waiting on it dry, and then by that time I'm no longer like staying in practice of painting. So if I have multiple projects, maybe that'll keep me
Yep.
in
It keeps that
practice.
momentum going.
That's a good idea. I'm about to switch out because I just kind of lost the momentum of what I'm working on now. And now I feel like I'm forcing it and it's not going the way I want it to. So I think I'm going to give the one I'm working on right now a break and work on a different one. But this is what I got so far.
Yeah, I think I
I
saw
love that.
that in one of the. I can't remember. You posted it somewhere. I remember seeing it.
Yeah, I've been posting it on a story. So
That looks
hold on, I
great.
can't
Yeah.
see where the camera is. Here we go.
It looks super
Yay.
solid. I love
Yeah,
it.
I'm really happy with how I did the lighting and the flame and the candle.
Yeah,
And
I'm digging that skull.
this area right here is pretty well rendered. This area right here needs a lot of work. But I think, wow, cool. I had another canvas right underneath of it. That's my sign. Put
Yep.
this one away for now. Work on
And
this
start
guy.
on a different one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got some black gesso too, so I'm gonna do a black background one.
I fell into the same thing where I'll show you the one I was working on that I became uninspired with. Let me turn my background blur off. See, maybe someone give me some insight on where to go with it.
Yeah. That is what we do.
Just kind of, I just lost inspiration with it. I don't know. I just waited too long for it to dry, and it's fairly large. But
Okay.
Yeah.
I started going in and texturing stuff, and just lost interest in it.
I mean, I could see something coming down in that big open spot down in the middle at the bottom.
Yeah, for sure.
What if you subdivided that diagonally to create a little bit more flow and move your eye kind of from the bottom right up towards that top portion that kind of hooks around to the right?
Big, yeah.
Yeah, I'd start something
yeah.
bottom right, bring that up to follow that curve almost
Yeah.
to really move your eye around that portion of the piece.
Yeah. I agree. Think Fibonacci spiral.
Yeah, exactly.
So like more in this area. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Break that up,
Okay.
man. Break it up.
Cool. Yeah, I'll get that.
Then maybe in the background add
it
something a
definitely
little
needs it.
bit
That
more
area's just so
obscure.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that's one thing I always look at whenever I'm working on something and I hit that snag where it's just like, what do I do with this? I always look for big open areas. And then I'm like, okay, how can I create more flow by dissecting this and making it a bit more complex or a little bit more visually interesting? Add a different element in there. So Jeff Gogwe in one of his seminars actually has a philosophy. I don't know if he calls it the rule of thirds or not, but he'll do like a nine section grid, top third, middle third, lower third, and then left third, middle third, right third.
Yeah.
And he tries to make sure that there's something interesting in every single square so that every single area could stand alone. If you cropped it down, every single area could stand alone with something interesting in it.
That's really brilliant.
Yeah, I feel like I recall that. If you happen to like think on that a bit more and remember what that's from, I would love to rewatch that.
He gave a talk many years ago. I think the seminar is actually on the Tattoo Now website.
Okay, I feel like I watched it on YouTube maybe.
I took a seminar from Jeff Gogwe like before my first apprenticeship, so maybe like 14 or 15 years ago. Like I was saying earlier, my journey into tattooing has been long and full of many failures, but I'm here now. So, but yeah, I took a seminar from Jeff Gogway years ago. And when we were talking about earlier about everybody starts somewhere, like some people start their tattooing career in prison and then they get out and they figure out like the legalities of it and go off from there. Some people start it in the kitchen at a fucking punk show when they're a teenager. Some people, you know, some people get a kit off of eBay or Amazon and doodle on their friends before they, you know, actually realize that they need to learn about sanitization. Yeah, but everybody has a place they started from. And one thing I really like about Jeff Gogway is that he openly admits, he's just like, yeah, I started out as a scratcher. Everybody starts somewhere. He's like, he said in his seminar, he's all like, yeah, when I first started, when I was a young, stupid kid tattooing my friends out of my house, he bleached a couple needles.
Yeah.
Like everybody starts somewhere. The same reason why like some people are immaculate, fucking incredible single needle artists, and they fucking started with like a shaved down guitar wire in prison.
Yeah.
Like and you can get so many places, but the thing is, you just got to start.
Yeah.
You just got to fucking start.
So
If you don't start, you're not going to get there.
the seminar I was referencing, by the way, that Jeff Gogway did was it's called decorative, and it was the third part on a 3-part seminar that is available on Tattoo Now. It's from 2017, and Russ Abbott does the first part, Laura Jade does the second part, and Jeff Gogway does the third part.
Okay, cool.
And it's that Jeff Gogway speech on less is more that I remember that from.
Awesome, I love it. I'll definitely rewatch that.
When I first started tattooing, that's the rule I couldn't get into my head at first. Less is more.
Yeah, it really is.
Because I pen and ink is my thing, and I'm very detailed. So it took a while to transition that into being able to make them tattooable images.
I wanted to. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I grabbed the booklet I got from Jeff Gogway's seminar a long ass time ago. And the seminar was called Gut Level Tattooing.
Nice.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that was from, let's see the year on it, 2009. So wait, no, it was right when I was starting my first apprenticeship. So sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say that was it.
What was everyone else's first seminars? I'm just curious.
First seminar?
Yeah.
I think it was at that same convention, but it wasn't Jeff Gogway's seminar that was the first one. I don't quite remember what the first one was. It was like early on in the day, and I think I was just like, what?
Right.
And realizing I was like, this is I'm just a wannabe apprentice right now. I have no idea what they're talking about, and realizing that it was just way too beyond my level.
Yeah, I have a very same story. The first one I did was with Yogi Barrett, and I was an apprentice. It was 2016. I just remember sitting there being like, just mind blown, like, holy shit, I actually know nothing.
Yep.
I still feel somewhat the same. So
I took like 8 seminars at the International Tattoo Expo in Seattle around the same time. It was hosted by Slave to the Needle, and it was at a really, really fancy hotel in Seattle.
Nice.
I can't remember what it was.
Bell, right?
I think so. It was like 2008, 2009-ish. It was international. It was huge. And there was just shit tons of seminars. And I took 8 fucking seminars, or more than 8. Actually, remember when I texted you a picture of all those certificates for seminars?
Yeah.
That was from that from
no
the
shit.
yeah, it was from the National Association of Tattooers or something, and all of those certificates are from that. And I just remember then I took so many seminars trying to soak up as much information as possible, but because I was so new, none of it was applicable to anything. I didn't know what was going on, and it's been like 13, 14 years, and suddenly that information's coming back. I'm like, that thing that Mr. G said about the history of doorbells and doorknobs and where tattoo machines come from suddenly makes sense now.
Mhm.
Mm,
So I can't really say that I think the first actual seminar, like paid for seminar that I ever went to and did was actually with Guy at the Philadelphia Expo many years ago. Before that, though, I actually had the opportunity to sit down and have like one-on-one question and answer sessions with a couple of pretty well-known, pretty prominent tattoo artists, all because of where I went through my first apprenticeship. Um, so the first real exposure I got to like professional quality, master level tattooing, we had Shane O'Neill come to the studio that I was apprenticing at many years ago, and my friend Bob was working there. Bob was the one that organized everything, that got a number of very incredible artists to come through that studio. And he's like, "Yeah, go up to him, introduce yourself, ask him whatever questions you have." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "He's in the middle of working. Like, I don't want to disturb him. Like, what do you mean ask him? Like, I don't even know what questions to ask,
yeah.
you know?" And then as I started to gain more knowledge and whatnot, I remember looking back and like the notes I had taken while he was tattooing, because I asked him if I could just sit down and watch him work, right? And just watch his process. And I was fascinated.
That I would love to do.
You know, watching him build up those values little by little so that they were perfect every time.
Mm,
And watching him go back through and saying, "Oh, here's this shape. Okay, so this shape is going to be this level," right? And he would do a couple of quick, very light brush strokes, and it was perfect. And then he would move on. And then he would go into a different spot, and then he would do that, and he would move on. So he would do like one quick little pass with a couple of brush strokes, wipe it down, check it, and then move on to the next spot. Then once he got to the top, he would go back at the bottom and start building up a little bit darker in certain areas and start skipping over spots that he had already tattooed. And he would start building that value even darker and even darker. And it was like mind blowing. Then we had Shane O'Neill and Nico Hurtado both come to the studio.
Fun.
And I got to sit down and was awestruck by both of those guys.
oh,
Because
I
they were
bet.
tattooing back to back, right? At the same studio where I was an apprentice.
Oh, nice.
How do you sit and watch people like that without thinking I'm a fraud? What if they find out I'm a fraud?
Yeah.
At that
Yeah.
point in time that was happening, I didn't even know my ass from a hole in the ground. I didn't know what tattooing was. I didn't know what to ask. I didn't have the knowledge level that I needed in order to truly appreciate what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't know what questions to ask, if you don't have that knowledge to build off of initially, how can you ever truly know what's appropriate, what's, you know, what are you doing here and there? All you do is try to soak in as much information as you can,
Yeah.
you know? And I remember watching as Nico was sitting down working on a color portrait. And I remember watching him, and I wrote down every single step that he took while he was applying like a layer of color. And I remember asking him what he was using, why he was using it, you know, what machines was he using, what type of steel grips, because this was back when he was using steel grips. And he was using needle on bar, but he would hand solder his own round shaders because he wanted them to be loose enough and flexible enough that he could use them like mini paintbrushes.
Nice.
And it was like, I was like, okay, back up. So you're using a small round shader that's super flexible. You're using this machine. You're using these types of grips with this type of tip. Okay, let's look at your process. Let's go through step by, like, okay, you've already got the stencil on, whatever. Like, I watched you make your stencil solution before the videos ever came out. I know how you do that. What's your process like now? Like, he started out and he would go through and he's like, you pick a spot and start coloring it in, you know? And if you need a different tone, you dip and dip and dip and color it in some more.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, but why do you have 2 rinse cups? I've never seen that. Why do you have 2? And he's like, because I like to make sure everything's clean. He's like, I'll do a little bit of color and then I'll rinse it out and then I'll rinse it out and then I'll dip into my colors, you know, and check it on the paper towel, get the right tone. Then I'll do another little spot. And then I'll rinse it out and then I'll rinse it out and then I'll dip into my colors and then I'll do another little spot in a different area. And then I'll rinse it out and I'll rinse it out so that way I'm starting clean every time.
Mm.
What didn't occur to me until several years later that I remember watching him specifically, I was like, but every time I go to rinse, I always dry my tip. That way I'm not diluting my pigment. This guy wasn't. He already had water in the tip of his mag, or in the tip of his round shader, because he was using small 8 rounds. But he never dried them out. He left that water in there. So everything he was doing was watered down so he could create a very light glaze.
A lot like watercolor.
Exactly. And he would build up those colors.
Yeah.
And he would build up until it was just right. Because much like in oil painting, whatever colors you lay down first, they're going to show through any colors you put over top of them. And it's going to optically mix with those layers.
So
by doing that and creating those very thin, washy layers, it allowed him to build up to that perfect value. But that, once again, that didn't occur to me until several years later. So
I was told a long time ago that tattooing is a lot like painting. And if you can figure out how to paint, you can figure out how to tattoo.
I've heard that too.
My question though, as a little baby tatter tot with little to no experience, how do you practice? Huh?
I'm stealing tatter tot because I'm a baby too, and that's awesome.
Yeah. With as little experience as I have, I am trying to figure out how to do layering techniques and lay down pigments and work it up without over traumatizing the skin, overworking the skin. And does that just mean I have to do layers in between appointments?
What type of pins are you using?
What type of pins?
Tattoo needles? The pins that actually make the groupings?
Yeah.
What size are you using?
Do you mean like gauge?
What's the
pretty much? Are you using number 10s? Are you using number 8s? Are you using number 12s?
It's anything between 12 and 8. Sometimes I use the bug pins, sometimes I don't. Mostly 12. I usually use bug pins for my liners. And
so let me put things in example form for you.
Do it.
You've got a whole bunch of different nails set out in front of you. You've got a big old 10-penny nail. You've got a smaller nail. And then you've got a super, super tiny little finishing sewing needle. Right? Which one of those, if you were to hammer into wood, would leave the biggest mark?
The biggest one.
Exactly. If you were to hammer in a small sewing needle into a piece of wood, it would cause relatively little damage to that piece of wood, correct?
All right. So what you're saying is little pins for more layering?
Little pins equals more layering,
and less damage to the skin.
and exactly, which means you can go over said areas multiple times.
Yeah, I tend to use a bug pin like for
Yeah.
almost everything.
That's become a very common thing. Most people nowadays are using number 10 pins for everything.
Yeah.
Lining,
So-
shading,
Switched
color
over
packing.
completely.
I thought
Yeah.
that bug pins technically have to be 8 and that 10 is a false name or a false bug pin. It's just a
10?
smaller gauge, but not technically a bug pin.
So I was always taught the standard tattoo pins were number 12 medium taper, right?
Yeah.
That was industry standard for, X number of, decades in the tattoo scene,
Mhm.
which isn't actually correct, because when you're looking at tattooing back in the 40s and 50s, they were actually using much larger pin sizes. So their 9 rounds were actually like our 14s.
Yeah.
But that's because they were using bed pins and not anything else. But long story short, number 8, technically anything that's below a number 12, and I mean, even number 12s technically are bug pins, because those pins were used to pin bugs to boards. So they're all technically bug pins. The term bug pin actually applies to smaller than standard gauge, anything. Then
So
you get into sizes like 00 and 000 and zeros, and anything smaller than your standard is going to be assigned, whatever acronym or nickname people want to give them. I look at pin diameter, right? Number 12s are 0.35 millimeter diameter. Number 10s are 0.30. Number 8s are 0.25. Number 6 is 0.20. When you get below number 8s, 0.25, you start to get into cosmetic grade.
Yeah.
And when you're working with modern pigments, especially large flake powder, anything that might be more powder based, anything with a thicker viscosity, it's going to be far harder to get those actual pigment particles into the skin using something more cosmetic grade. I always recommend sticking with 8s or 10s. That's my own personal recommendation for the stuff that I do. Although I have been going back to the number 12s after taking Mark Lascarbo's What's the Point seminar back up at the Paradise BYOB last year.
Oh, I remember that. That was super fun. That was very informative.
Fascinating. Mind-blowingly fascinating.
Dude, that seminar changed the way I think about needles. Like
Absolutely.
he put it in layman's terms to a way where I'm just like, oh, I've heard the same explanation 20 times from 20 different people, but the way that he described it was just like, oh,
It clicked.
okay, I
Yeah.
got it. Yeah. Also, it helps that he had the little diagrams on the little sheets that he passed out.
Well, yeah, because we're artists, we're visual people, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's part of the reason why I went back to number 12 long tapers, is because what he was saying made total sense.
I still use them for color packing.
So I use them for just about everything, from black and gray to color, whatever I need. As long as I know I've got plenty of length on that taper, I know that there's going to be a point on the taper of that number 12 that's going to be 0.30 diameter.
Yeah.
There's going to be a point on that needle taper that's 0.25 diameter.
So really what it comes down to is anything can be a bug pin as long as you stab a beetle with it.
Pretty much, yes.
Cool.
Very, very basic way to put it, but yes.
A beetle, a butterfly, a wasp.
Yeah, and any insect, really. I mean, even things that are as small as insects that you can really pin, but maybe they're not insects, like leaves, anything of that nature, technically, yeah, But I will say this, sticking with a number 8, knowing that the maximum diameter of that pin is only going to get to be so big is refreshing. And it's nice because you no longer really have to worry about how far are you penetrating to get that right diameter of size for the hole that you're putting in the skin.
Yeah,
That's what
you
she
know
said.
what it's gonna be.
Exactly. You know that the biggest it can be is 0.25.
Yeah.
And yes, that is what she said.
Often.
So, but yeah, so, and that's one thing when I was talking to Nico, I was asking him what he was using and what he was saying at the time. And he said exactly that. He's like, you know, he's like, look at the size of the diameter of the needles that you're using. He's like, think about it like this. You can go over an area, you know, 2-3 times with a number 12. Maybe you can get 5 or 6 times with, you know, a number 8. Those additional layers that you can put over top of a color are not only going to add to saturation, but it's going to allow you to really build up that color value to be exactly what you want it to be. And it was like, he's like, but the downside is that your tattoos are going to take exponentially longer.
Yeah, I'm a long tattooer. I'll admit it.
Yeah, I am super slow. So I don't do a tattoo that takes me less than like 8 hours.
I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors real quick. Raw Pigments. Finally got to try it. Finally got to fucking try Raw Pigments. Oh my
Game changer. Game changer.
Dude, one tattoo, one fucking walk-in that just required a few different colors. And I was like, those colors are the ones that I got from Raw. I'm going to use these ones. One tiny little shop minimum walk-in tattoo was all it took for me to be like, Raw Pigments are the fucking best.
Yeah.
Like, that's how much of a difference it was. Like, just within like the first minute, I was just like, what the fuck? What the fuck
It's
am I
single
working
pass, and because it's single pass and it's saturated, you can
Yeah.
move on. You no longer have to touch that area ever again because you know it's in there and you know it's solid.
I let one of my coworkers use one color and she only used it for a little piece of her thing. And when she like returned the bottle, she's like, that was the best that I've ever used. And I was like, oh no, bruh.
And
I gotta
the
text
thing that I
Lauren.
really like about them is that they're light fast, right? Those colors are not going to fade as fast as other pigments.
Nice.
It's something that was never really brought into consideration with a lot of pigments as they were being mixed back in the day. No one really cared. No one really bothered to look into it. They're like, whatever. Orange is orange. Who cares, you know, what the other factors are? If it's orange, it's orange. If it needs to be more yellow, we mix yellow in with it. No one cares.
If it
right?
needs to be more red, mix more red.
Exactly. You know, nowadays we're looking at the science and, you know, pigment particle size. We're looking at, you know, what is everything made from? What's it made out of? What's its longevity? If it's under constant sun exposure, how is that color going to hold up over time? Is it going to disappear completely?
So Lauren showed me one of her tattoos that was light red by Raw that I think is fairly old, and it was still bright as fuck.
Yeah.
Like right on her arm too, right in an area that gets a lot of sun exposure. That's like one of the top areas. Everybody's always wearing short sleeves at some point of the year. Everybody goes out into the sun and forgets to put on their sunscreen. Like we all make bad decisions when we're all like, fucking, let's go party at the barbecue and forget our sunscreen because we're too drunk. And, you know, get a nice gnarly sunburn on the top of one of our tattoos and everything. And the fact that hers was still fucking bright red was just like, bro.
The red is what
motherfucker.
Yeah, next time I get new inks, I'm going to have to get some raw because I just recently re-upped on ink. So I've got to wait till I use that. I can't.
Yeah. No, every time I run out of a color, I'm going to replace it with the raw equivalent now, because just like all it did was the pigment that specifically that I was using when I was just like, what the fuck, game changer, was Currency. And that is a very pastel green.
It is.
And the fact that I could get that in perfectly solidly with one pass and it went in smoothly and I wasn't fighting it like most people fight pastels.
Yeah.
That was, it was, oh my God. It's like I tasted manna for the first time.
It makes tattooing almost too easy.
Yeah, it's like almost not fair.
Yeah.
It's like, where's the work?
You know, to me, the thing that really sold me on them was their gray wash set. And I liked its value and I liked its consistency, right? Bottle to bottle, I knew that value was going to be the same. I knew that I didn't have to guess, is this light gray wash going to be the same tone as this light gray wash? Oh, this one's going to be just a hair lighter or a hair darker. Oh, okay. Well, now I've got to mix this with this, but it stays consistent. And, you know, then I was like, okay, true test of their colors, right? Knowing that most tattoo pigments out there, most colors, if they're of a lighter value, it's going to be like something mixed with white, right? Red mixed with white, pink mixed with white, blue mixed with white, you know? So white is a very common color additive to create different hues and tones. Much like if you're going to have an orange color or like a golden yellow, you're going to take a canary yellow and mix in a little bit of like just a tiny itty bitty bit of like a red, like a poppy red or whatever, something more orange based. And you're going to add that to your canary yellow and boom, you have orange, right? Great. But in order to get like a light pastel orange, what are you going to do? You're going to add white to it, right? So knowing that white is a very common color additive to create these lighter tones, anytime I'm going to try out a new pigment series from any company ever, I'm trying their white first before anything else. Because I know that white's in a lot of different pigments. So it makes sense if I can put their white in and I like their white, I know I'm going to like the rest of their colors. And I tried their white and I was like, yo, that's great.
I want to get the traditional set. The traditional set is such a pretty palette.
Yeah.
That's the next set I'm gonna get. But yeah, nope. Shout out to fucking Raw Pigments. That shit is dope.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I finally got to try it. I got to pick out a few, I picked out a few little colors to try out, and I picked out all the ones that Ricardo named, plus whatever Lauren suggested, and then a couple of other ones that I just like the color.
Yeah.
Got to get Ricardo's named ones, though.
Yeah, he's a special individual.
I'm definitely going to need to get some of them as soon as I run out.
Yeah, it's, you know what? They're worth the investment. If you're used to using more old school powder pigments, it's definitely going to be right up your alley. If you're used to a lot of the micro dispersed, you might struggle a little bit in the beginning with them. Because you're used to using something that's got a different type of dispersion in it by default. So it will take a little bit of getting used to, but it's worth it.
Oh, I believe it.
You know, you're not going to have to try as hard. You're not going to have to go over areas or colors to get them totally saturated. They are going to saturate very, very quickly.
Good.
So it's not like you have to put in anywhere near as much effort or work.
Anything that makes something 1 or 2 passes rather than 3 or 4 is for me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when I'm dealing with color and I'm using my raw pigments, I don't even have to go back into it a second time. I know that color is there. And I don't have to second guess it. And that's something that I found myself doing with a lot of other companies.
Yeah.
You know, that obviously need not be named. So.
Yeah. That's why I'm not naming the company I just bought ink from.
Yes.
And they're good, but I can imagine that raw has got to be better.
Well, I mean,
Just the fact that they're not acrylic based at all.
exactly. That's what was the real seller for me. And you know, I've got like a drawer in my toolbox back at the studio that's filled with a lot of my older colors that maybe I started a piece with them, so I can't really divulge or divert from that because I need to finish said piece. Granted, said individuals might not have come in the past year, but whatever. So those are probably expired, but at the end of the day, they make great paints.
Yes. Yes, they do. Somebody gave me, well, I should say, I confiscated a bag of Chinese ink from someone. And I was
Yep.
like, no, you're going to give me this. And they're like, why? I was like, because this is paint. This is not meant to be used on human beings.
I've got paint in the form of moms.
Yeah.
Millennium Moms.
Millennium Month. Yeah, I got a little bottle of monthly red. Come on. Moms did have some really funny titles for their
They
colors.
did have some great names.
Yeah, the one I got, I think Hooker's Discharge.
Oh, yes.
Don't tattoo with it, but yes, the names are amazing.
Yeah,
Makes for great paint.
it does.
Yep. Great paint. I was just about to throw mine away because they expired in like, fucking years ago. But then my boss was all like, just keep it for paint. And I was all like, I already have way too much paint. And then I was looking through the box again and saw the titles of the names of the colors. I was like, okay, I'm keeping it just for this.
Yeah.
Like, I need to make a painting with a monthly red and Hooker's Discharge. What shade of green is that? Oh, you know, baby puke.
Right? Yeah, I've so I always keep some of my old pigments on hand. Yeah, they make for great paints. They do. And I figure if I can get, I think these are 2-ounce bottles. If I can get 2 ounces of this for the same price as it costs for 1 ounce of this, and it's pretty much the same color, why not?
Yeah.
Oh. Yep. I gotta say, using old tattoo ink as paint is thrifty AF, my dudes.
Yes. I also use it on fake skin. You know, if it's expired, it doesn't matter if you're using it on fake skin or
Oh
digital.
yeah. Do you guys have brands of fake skin that you prefer?
Real skin.
Real? Is that the REEL?
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
heard that one's really good.
Yeah, it holds a stencil really, really well. And then I like the Pound of Flesh blacks. The actual limbs I've not had a good luck with, but I've also only used 2 of them. So almost years ago.
I want to, since I've started practicing drawing portraits with ballpoint pen and learning about contrast and shading, I want to start practicing portraits, but you don't want to practice portraits on humans.
On people. No, that's what I'm doing.
That's the thing we don't do.
Every time somebody asks me if they can get a tattoo, I'm like, yes, but I don't do portraits. So that's what I'm trying to learn how to do. I'm doing it on fake skin and stuff like that. And I'm tattooing a lot of baby dolls. The rubber baby dolls, they work really well.
I will say
Really?
this about the Pound of Flesh, right? Even if you don't end up using it to like practice tattooing, you flip this thing around and it will make one hell of a club. Okay, so I use them as personal defense weapons.
Or
And I mean, these things weigh a ton. It's like solid ballistic gel. It's crazy, right? You can smack someone across the face with it, right? You can get some good velocity with this thing too.
Something you'd see on Jackass.
Pretty much. Only I would worry if I hit anyone with this, it'd probably break their jaw.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, it's solid and it would hurt.
That just looks so pervy.
You know what my favorite part about having a broken jaw was? Finding out how many foods you can put in a blender.
Yeah, that's got to be an interesting find.
If you can put pizza in a blender, just use a little bit of tomato soup as the liquefier because it goes well with the red sauce and it just tastes like liquefied pizza. It's amazing. That was my diet when I broke my jaw.
Liquid pizza. Nice.
Mm-hmm. You can also put hamburgers in a blender. It takes a little bit more to like mush it around. You got to add in a little bit extra mustard and ketchup, you know, to like help liquefy it and everything. But once you got it chunky enough to squeeze in between your wired shut teeth, still tastes like a hamburger. It's the same ingredients.
He's not gonna chew it up.
Yeah.
Just makes digestion
Just
easier.
in case Jason breaks any of your jaws,
With his
just know
flappy
that
hand.
you can still have pizza and
Which I won't, by the way. I'm a very non-violent individual.
okay, he won't.
Sorry to disappoint you.
I'm a very non-violent individual unless there's cake. I will kill some cake.
Yeah. Like I mean, I can second that. You don't come in between me and sweets of any kind. It's just
That's my
not good for your
downfall.
own individual
I have such
health.
a sweet tooth. I can eat healthy every day, but the one thing I can't stay away from is those sweets.
Yep.
I don't know. My addiction is with pre-made foods that are exactly what I want without the effort to having to make it. Such
Yeah.
examples include things like Uncrustables.
I burnt myself on an Uncrustable yesterday.
You what?
I burnt myself with an Uncrustable yesterday.
They're
Really
frozen.
good if you freeze them and then you microwave them for 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Like a
But
peanut butter and jelly panini.
Yes, but I was so hungry that I bit into it right away and it squeezed molten peanut butter on my thumb and I got a blister.
That molten jam. Oof. It's just hot sugar.
Yes.
Well, just the top layer of your tongue will slough off. When I was little, my dad had a panini press and I put peanut butter jelly sandwiches in it all the time. And me being a person who has zero patience, every time
your mouth off.
Yeah, the hot jam sloughing off the like layers of my tongue and the roof of my mouth. Talking like this for the rest of the day because I wasn't too patient to wait for it to cool off.
For those of us out there that might not be familiar with Uncrustables, imagine what a Hot Pocket is after leaving that in the microwave for 3 minutes and then biting right into it. Same basic thing.
But filled with peanut butter and jelly.
Yes.
It's the jelly that gets you when it's hot because that is literally just molten sugar. And hot sugar just rips your skin off.
But it tastes so good.
Oh, God, it tastes so good. It tastes so good.
If there's nothing sweet in the house and I have a sweet craving, peanut butter and jelly is my go-to.
See, I'm one of those people, I always keep an emergency stash of Reese's peanut butter cups in the freezer. Just in case. That's cool. Matt, what was that?
Oh, I'm kind of cleaning up my desk, but it's a mask. It's a Hunamaru's mask. I got it in Oregon. There's a really long story behind it, but yeah, just kind of trying to straighten up my desk a little bit. It's kind of a disaster right now. I'm big on as far as like on the topic of peanut butter and jellies, peanut butter and banana. Where I'm at all the time.
I don't necessarily need a sandwich for that though. Just the peanut butter and the banana will work for me.
And lately, I've been eating a ton of sunflower butter. It's fire.
Oh,
Really?
Yes, it's so good.
that is good.
I
I
will
was
have to
going
try
through an
this.
almond butter kick for a while, but I love almonds.
Yeah, almond butter's a little too gritty for me.
I like my peanut butter chunky too, though, so I'm good with that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are getting to that point in time where it is just about time for sign-offs. Why don't we go ahead and I'm gonna, as soon as I get done painting this one little section and blending that out, I'm gonna go ahead and start doing some sign-offs. So be prepared to show what you've been working on.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I know, Medusa, you don't like showing your stuff, but
I
I'm
do
always nervous.
sometimes.
fair enough.
You
How'd
guys
that one
are
like
better artists
Vortex?
than I am, so.
Yeah. How'd that one Vortex ballpoint pen picture turn out, Medusa?
Oh, I still haven't finished it yet. I've taken a break from it. As I said before, it's a pretty personal piece because I made it after my dog died. So I have to wait for me. I have to be in like a certain emotional calm state to work on it. But it's coming along. All right. It's right here.
Awesome.
Awesome. Let me spotlight you real quick.
So red.
I need to add in some white highlights and finish up some shading and
That's epic.
yeah,
That does look awesome.
thank you. Yeah, I have a title for it and everything, and I know that's probably jumping ahead of it and everything, but like I said, it's a really personal piece that I only work on.
I would spray it down with like, once you get it finished, spray it down with permanent fixative or like an ultraviolet resistant clear coat of some type. Then I would take it to somewhere like Staples or Kinko's, get it scanned at a super high resolution. And then I think you should send me the digital files so that I can make prints.
I will think about it. My only thing is that, like I said before, it's on toned sketch paper. So, and I originally only planned on doing like sketching and ballpoint pen with it. And then I got carried away with the design and I started painting. So it's pretty waterlogged and bowed in the paper. But I figured out you can cure a lot of that with irons. Like an iron paint, you can iron paint your paper. So I've been
You can iron hair. Why can't you iron paper?
Yeah, so like in between layers when it's dry and everything, I've done a quick little ironing to try to flatten it out, because it's not meant for painting, and I painted anyways.
Yes. Cool. Well, why don't you go ahead and give us a quick little sign off?
All right, bye. I'm Medusa. I'm Medusa. You can find me on Instagram at Medusa Slays with 3 S's at the end, or via my website, medusaslays.com. Bye.
Awesome. And Amber, we'll go to you next. Why don't you go ahead and give us a quick little sign off and show us what you've been working on?
All right. I've been working on this, which will eventually be a watercolor.
Very nice.
And I'm Amber Morgaine. You can find me at Amber Morgaine on Instagram and at Looking Glass INK on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
It's been real.
Matt Jackson, we'll switch over to you.
Yeah. Got a line drawing so far. I don't know if you'll be able to see it very well, but
Oh, dude, that's going to be
got a line drawing. I'll hop back on here next week, paint with you guys a little bit more. But yeah, I'm Matthew Jackson. I'm in Columbus, Indiana. And find me Matt Jackson Tattoos on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. And
Sure.
I'll spotlight myself. So thanks everyone for jumping in today and tuning in. This has been the Skill Building Sunday Drawing Group here at the Reinventing the Tattoo Network. My name is Jason Leeser. You can always find me on Instagram at Philly Inc., all one word, PhILLYINK. Yeah, or if you live in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware-ish area, you can always stop by the studio. I work at the Inkwell Tattoo in Southampton, Pennsylvania, right on Street Road. So feel free to stop by, book an appointment, keep me busy. Otherwise, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Keep those hands moving, keep those brushes moving, and cheers.